By the way, have you seen like the footage of like Menardi throwing his shirt at the opposing team and like the reactions from Do and Safe? Because like, is it just me or are like the team of Do, Knuckle Do like completely overreacting? Like they're talking about physical violence from Menardi, and that's like a massive claim. I just saw the footage for the first time. And honestly, I think it clearly shows the problem that we really have in the FGC. People cannot differentiate between trash talk and stuff like that and actual violence. Like, there's no difference anymore. Like, people are pretending like those two things are the same thing. And the argument, by the way, that I read as well when you're not going the physical violence path, wow, that was good, was, well, it sets a bad precedent to future generations because we're teaching them that disrespecting the opponent is a valid path, right? I completely disagree with that. People are, by the way, saying that Menardi should be disqualified from Street Fighter League because he, because of the code of conduct in Street Fighter League. Like, guys, like, might as well just stop doing events altogether if that's your issue. Like, seriously. Mena threw his shirt at the opposing team after he won. I swear to God, like, people are having literal discussions about whether this is okay or not. And they're gonna be like, this is why women are not interested in fighting games. Yeah, that's why they're not interested in fighting games. Sure. Absolute madness. People are legit losing their minds. Oh, man. But Jimmy, you're not considering, how did it make the opposing team feel? Ooh! He threw his shirt. Yeah, Rook, good to see you. He threw his shirt, and like, people are acting like that's an act of violence, or that, oh, this sets a bad precedent to future generations. I have no idea what that even supposed to mean. Because now we're teaching kids that when you're popping off, throwing t-shirts is a bad thing. Okay. Like what are we even discussing? I don't even understand what the issue is. Bunko taking off his shirt and drinking a Red Bull today would not go well, I guess. Yeah. It's not just Knuckle Do. Safe also made a comment about it. I legit think they're actually trying to get an official penalty to Menardi's team in order to get an advantage in the competition, because that would be so typical of how this type of argument goes. The argument in life for some people is always, I'm the victim somehow. How can I abuse the current system and the current rules in order to somehow gain an advantage? I mean, maybe I'm thinking too deeply into that, but are you really gonna tell me that seriously, Knuckle Do or really anyone in the team was like, oh, that wasn't really nice of Menardi to throw the t-shirt. I felt threatened by that. No, you didn't feel threatened by that. Like, come on. Legit, that's what they're saying. They're talking about physical violence. I don't know, guys. I think it's more that the act of throwing your shirt on the opponent who came in with the same resources and the same effort and lost fair and square signifies you're invalidating the opponent's efforts. No, you're saying, get wrecked, bitch. That's what you're saying. But get wrecked, bitch is nowadays, oh, that's so disrespectful. Oh, Menardi should have said, guys, I'm really sorry that I won this match. I know you must feel really bad right now, and all I can do is apologize right now for the way I made you guys feel. And maybe we can talk to Capcom, maybe we can invalidate the results, you know? Like, guys, what do you think is a competition? Like, guys, like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you even talking about? Should he have apologized for his win because it made the other person feel bad? Seriously, is that the state of competition right now? You can't even trash talk the opponent after a victory? If you're trash talking the opponent, here's what a real man thinks about when you see somebody else trash talking you after a victory. It means, especially after they have a pop off. Why would you have a pop off if you were confident you're going to crush the competition? You're not going to have a pop off when you think that you're going to be winning guaranteed, right? So aren't you, by the pop off itself, validating the opponent's efforts? Because you wouldn't pop off, I mean, unless you're 801 Strider on Noah, right? But back in the days on Noah when he was a little kid, he popped off on him, but that's the exception. That's not the rule, right? I don't know, guys. Like, seriously, I feel like the state of competition is absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Do you all remember the whole deal with Low Tier God and Viscand? Oh yeah, that was old school game trash talk and funny AF, but it wasn't that serious. Yeah, but that wouldn't even be possible nowadays. People would be like, it sets a bad precedent. We're not gonna get the women to play the game. Stop it. Guys, like, for those who haven't seen it, should I show you the clip of Mena RD disrespecting the opponent's team? Who look ugly in the headband. Oh, don't worry about it. I also look ugly without the headband, so we're good. Steam dead. Your game is also offline. I mean, I guess this is the perfect time to show you the clip, right? Guys, this is the moment where I'm supposed to show you the clip, right? Warning, okay? It's graphic content, okay? Please, viewers, discretion advised.
Get the lightning beast. If you can get a block string going, and now also in critical danger.
Did you just see that? Did you see the act of violence from NRD? There. You can see, like, it almost hit Safe. You can see it, right? Like, there, it was between Safe and I don't even know who it was, but they're having a really hard time right now. They're clearly not laughing, you know? They feel threatened. That was threatening. And I agree. I think Mena should be banned for this. For life, you know? Almost took that guy's head off. Too dangerous for the streets. Okay, like, should we discuss, like, the tweets surrounding that? Like one of the comments is code of conduct non-existent. I gotta say, like, let me find NuckleDo's comments surrounding that. Actually, NuckleDo said that he was unhappy that Capcom cut the part where he confronted bandits for the disrespect. Okay, I don't know what he said, obviously, because they cut the footage, making us look soft. Honestly, that is understandable. Fair enough. But what did I read from Safe? Okay, he was the one saying, and I quote, or should I just show you the tweet? I'll just show you the tweet. How about that? Playing games on camera, you accept you might do bad, get embarrassed, trash talked, heckled. I'm cool with a lot, but unwanted physical contact. That's where he draws the line, okay? It was unwanted physical contact. I walked up on set and got an apology. What's with the edit? Do you want a precedent for players to get physical more? At this point, I'm not even sure. Is this the clip that he was talking about? Like right now, I'm actually thinking, wait a minute, maybe I missed something. Maybe there was actually like a physical altercation between these two somewhere else. But the tweet is directly directed at like what NuckleDo said, and the clip is pretty obvious what we just saw, right? So he must mean that. He even got an apology. As I said, I'm definitely with the team on the idea that, hey, if they actually confronted the team, they should have put that in there, right? But maybe it was too awkward. I don't know what the discussion was about, but like, come on. I'm cool with a lot, but unwanted, but somebody almost hitting me with like a t-shirt from 100 feet away, that's where you draw the line. I don't know, guys. I don't see it. You know, I just don't see it. I think this is I don't want to say it, but I feel like this is like a great example of the problems that we currently have with not just the FGC, with the society. I think this is truly because people are more focused on how does something make me look like. You know, like, remember when Mike Ross stepped in front of the camera and said that there's something wrong with the direction of Street Fighter V and the direction of competition and esports and everything, you know? I disagreed heavily with the take that Street Fighter V was a terrible game and it was not worth playing. But his sentiment about how does esport work and the production and everything, I think we actually got to a point now where we're more worried about what do others think of the FGC instead of just having fun. Is this really the direction that we're supposed to be headed? You know, like, is this like all the time I hear the argument, by the way, I'm not making this up, okay? People are saying that women are not, supposedly don't like the FGC or don't engage in the FGC because the community doesn't behave correctly. And I highly disagree with this take. Like, we're teaching people that somehow the FGC is an unsafe place for women or really for anyone. And I think that's terrible. That's terrible to even suggest. There's no evidence to support those claims, and just because the game is primarily played by men does not indicate any kind of problem. Why are we moving so much in this direction of, hey, we need to make sure that with every production quality, like everything, like there's no physical violence here, you know? Like, if you can't throw a t-shirt when you're popping off, like, what can you do? Like seriously, how are you allowed to pop off? Are you allowed to pop off? Because like, if one of the arguments is you're not respecting the opponent's efforts, then popping off is equally bad, right? So are we not going to allow that? Are we gonna prevent that from happening? Technically, in the code of conduct, by the way, the code of conduct for Capcom, by the way, is so broad. You can find anything to ban any person that was ever in front of a camera at Capcom, like at a Capcom event, to ban them if you don't like them. I think this is horrible. Honestly, Jimmy, I think the esports community as a whole is a bit of a nerd/geek community. For sure it is. And that community has always been a lot more sensitive. It's not ever been more sensitive. Like, what do you mean by that? If you play any sport, it's heated, it's competitive, and can mess with your ego. I mean, for sure. For sure. That's true. But, like, did we have this discussion in the Street Fighter 4 era? I don't remember that. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's very unsafe. Anyone can get their ass clapped in online ranked matches. On the other hand, the FGC is a pretty great place for minorities. It should be a welcoming place for anyone. And I truly think it is. It really is. Like, I think you have to be a madman to suggest that there are certain groups who are like not welcome in the FGC. It's nonsense. Dual Kevin just laughed and took it with humor. Oh, he was the one. He's the one in the background. Oh, you see, I couldn't recognize him there. But yeah, okay, so that was Dual Kevin. Jimbo, maybe the shirt was sweaty and that's why they are making a problem out of it. No, that's not what they're making a problem out of. It's not the problem. And even if it was sweaty, what? Oh, I cannot take Mena RD's sweat because it's gonna, even if it was sweaty, I don't get it, guys. Why are we extrapolating it to cancel culture and women feeling unsafe? Because it's part of the discussion that is coming up all the time. It's part of a bigger conspiracy theory within the FGC and the direction that we're going in when it comes to tournaments, where everyone wants to be like, oh, this isn't a safe space. Oh, this should be a safe space. Oh, physical violence, this is not it. And like, really, like, we didn't have these discussions like 15 years ago. And I feel like people are more and more trying to find problems that don't exist. They're like, we're inventing problems. I'm not trying to be an asshole by saying that, but when older people are the better players, they usually set better examples. Better examples for what? In the Street Fighter 4 era, old people were still king at fighting games. What old people? The old people from now were the young people from back then. I remember pretty clearly, for example, when NuckleDo used to teabag players to gain an advantage by triggering the opponent. And this philosophy of disrespecting the opponent is actually built right into Street Fighter. There's a taunt button. You can taunt the opponent. Why do people think the taunt button exists? Like, seriously, why do you guys think the taunt button exists? The taunt can only give you a disadvantage in-game if you use it. But it's still there. Like, from Street Fighter 4, 5 to 6, we all had, like, I don't know if Street Fighter 2 had it, but 4, 5, and 6 all had taunting. Why is there a taunt button? Taunting exists specifically because we're in a position in Street Fighter where mind games are an essential part of the game. It's such an integral part of the game, Capcom decided to put it into a move that literally doesn't do anything besides lock you out of doing actions. And why? Well, because it's supposed to make the opponent angry. And if the opponent is angry, their gameplay is going to be more predictable. It's a mind game. It's part of the mind game. And I truly find it like annoying. Just annoying that people are making up more and more rules that we supposedly have to abide by so that we can have these grand esports events where everything is flowers and sunshine and there's no once you see like a little bit of drama, it has to be extinguished with like a fire extinguisher. Like, somebody's got to come in immediately before we can start having fun. Like, I don't get it. A lot of people who would be good at Street Fighter 4 no longer play 5 unless they're Japanese. I'm not talking bad about it. I'm just saying once Street Fighter 5 made Street Fighter more accessible to all players, younger players became more dominant. It's not true. Repulse. It's just not true. It's always been the same cycle. In Street Fighter 4, when NuckleDo qualified for Capcom Cup for the first time, he was a nobody back then. And people, I remember those discussions, okay? People were having discussions whether the Capcom Cup rules are bad or good because a scrub like NuckleDo could qualify. And people were having discussions whether that indicates a problem in the system. Okay? We had players coming and going, young players coming and going, even in Street Fighter 4, and we had the same discussions back then. It's not that young players are becoming more dominant, it's just that the space is filled with more players, so the probability of somebody new coming in and stepping up is higher than it used to be. Just compare Street Fighter 4 numbers to Street Fighter 6. It's unbelievable how much bigger the scene is. Honestly, if Street Fighter 7 removes taunting, like, you'll know why. You'll know why. When Punk got to Strider's face to talk shit and waiting for him in the background looking for trouble, nobody says nothing. By the way, guys, like just so I clarify my own position, I think there should be rules in place, and there are actual limits to how far you can go when it comes to like disrespecting and trash talking. Okay, there should be limits, but that is the limit. MenRD popping off and removing his shirt, that was the limit. What changes during the Street Fighter 4 era, the theory began that the FGC wasn't viable, like say LOL, etc., because it was too unprofessional, and this idea that it has to be cleaned up was born. But the real reason to me is fighting games take practice and the entry level is hard. The entry level to anything is hard. It's not harder than League of Legends. You think League of Legends is easier than Street Fighter on a high level? If you want to win the World Championship of League of Legends, you think you have to invest less time than Street Fighter? You have to be a madman to suggest that. The reason why fighting games appear harder for beginners is because they cannot blame their own incompetence on somebody else. If you're playing a team game, then you can always blame your teammates for not doing well. And if you're winning because your team is great, you're gonna always take credit for the victory. And the problem in Street Fighter is, in Street Fighter 5, when you lost, it said, you lose. Nowadays, they even remove that because they don't want to punish players for doing poorly. Nowadays, it actually just says the character that won. If a Rashid beat you while playing Ryu, it says Rashid wins. It does not say you lose anymore. If somebody threw his shirt on me in 1 versus 1 in some tournament directly at me, I would definitely knock the guy out. You would knock the guy out. What? But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today anyways, right? The whole save the gamers from the woke mob is so cringe. Can someone expand on this being a major issue in the current scene? I mean, it's becoming more and more of an issue. FChamp was banned from the community. I mean, FChamp, how many years has FChamp used in his life to get great at fighting games Capcom related? Okay, Marvel's Capcom, he was obviously his he made a part of his living surely was Street Fighter, and he made a bad joke on Twitter, and then he lost his livelihood as a result. I think that if there's one example where we should be able to agree on that should not have happened, it would be FChamp. Like, you can say what you want, but just because you made a poor joke, okay, the joke was bad that he brought up, okay, sure, it was bad. But it was so bad that you need to ban him indefinitely and ruin like a decade or more of effort that he put into his life. Like, come on, guys. Like, seriously. Yeah, but the problem, like, why does Capcom not care? Capcom is like, okay, like I'm a big company, okay? Capcom's like, I'm a big company. I need to make sure that there's a positive view on everything Capcom related. So if there's any kind of like sign that there might be some drama or some like negative thing happening, they can just make you disappear. You know? And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. That's exactly what companies do, and it's because it's becoming more and more normalized that this is something they should be doing. And I completely disagree with that. It's absolutely insane to me that you can make a joke on Twitter and then literally lose your livelihood afterwards. It's not killing the scene. The scavenger, it's not killing the scene. But we're moving more and more into this direction of, hey, let's just, like, exactly what Mike Ross said years ago with Street Fighter 5 when he didn't like the game, but he didn't like the changes the changes that were happening because we need to be more compatible with esports, because this professional look required, like having sponsors around and everything, required cleaning up the FGC in a specific way is completely unfair to certain people. And also, like just take a look at this. Like, people are like, should I show the clip again? Should I show the clip again? Have you missed the clip? People are asking for consequences, like competitive consequences, because of this scene. This scene right here. You're telling me this right here, this should get Mena RD banned from Street Fighter League. If I had told you guys there's a discussion about that, if I had said that 15 years ago, you would have laughed at me. You would have laughed at me. But now this is a real possibility. Like, it's not a joke anymore. The solution to that is either private funding or bigger support coming from the fan base, which is not happening. What do you mean by bigger support from the fan base? You mean like completely ignoring Capcom and like doing our own thing? I've seen multiple people bringing up the code of conduct and tagging Capcom into this and saying that they're not upholding their own code of conduct. Yeah, but people are asking for more consequences, and Capcom has shown that they're willing to go that route, you know. And I think that's the problem. The fact that people from the outside can say, hey, you're a bad company unless you ban this person, that's a problem. Because companies could technically say, hey, we have our code of conduct and whatever. Like for example, the F-Champ situation had nothing to do with any kind of code of conduct, right? They just made the decision that they didn't like him around anymore, so they got rid of him. And by the way, as I said, the code of conduct is so broad, you can ban anyone for anything. And the fact that no company is willing to say, hey, that's nonsense, you're too sensitive, grow up, there's no problem. Nobody was threatened, nothing. It was just a simple pop-off. But you cannot write that as a company anymore, because people are going to be angry about that. And that's the problem. That we're listening to a minority of people who are suggesting that everything is off limits effectively. Capcom has shown they're willing to listen to those people, and I think that's the problem. But yeah, that's gonna be it actually. I don't really have a lot more to say on the topic. Trust me, in 2025, social media outrage will be ignored more and more. We'll see, you know? I agree that's a major issue, but how else is the Capcom competitive scene going to stay alive if they don't play it safe AF? Oh, I understand why they're doing it. Yeah. As I said, I just hope that... I wish it was socially acceptable to say, hey, this isn't an issue. Just because you're offended by what happened does not mean that something bad actually happened. But you cannot say that, because you have to go the route of, oh, I'm really sorry that this is offensive to you. I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen anymore. And the problem is, anything can be offensive because it's completely subjective. And I just wish that we could come together collectively and say, hey, like, come on, this is getting ridiculous. It is acceptable. You think I could say that on a Capcom Cup live stream? On a Capcom live stream, I could say what I just said? No, I'd be getting the talk from Capcom. I obviously I could say whatever I want on my live stream. I mean, whatever I want. You guys know what I mean, right? But this topic, obviously, if I was commentating on an official Capcom stream, I could be saying that. But yeah, you know, like, not everything that is about, like, when it comes to a competitive environment, things get heated up, people get frustrated, they get really happy, they have pop-offs, and I don't see any problem with that environment. I never saw the problem. Like, even when it was less professional, like, guys, have you ever been at an event, like a smaller scale event? People are just there to have fun. You know, it's all real, and that's what we want. You know, it's not like people are like, oh yeah, we should beat people up on stream because we're hardcore FGC people. Like, nobody is gonna do it. Nobody's asking for that. I just want things to be genuine, right? It comes back to what I said about Capcom watching their back. I fully understand. Yeah, I think we mostly agree, right? Obviously, Capcom has gotta watch their back on these topics. So yeah, guys.